Well, as usual, I'll read my comments to keep myself on track. 2 weeks ago, on July 21, I spoke to you about the need to develop policies to ensure that Fremont County ordinances comply with annual legislative changes to Idaho Code. I started by talking about the role of the Board of County Commissioners as the implementation and enforcement arm of the Idaho legislature. Then I gave 2 examples of laws that were passed by the legislature in 2024 and 2025 that were incorrectly or inadequately implemented by the county. Finally, I ask you to consider authorizing a citizens advisory group to draft recommendations and policies to ensure that Fremont County complies not only with the annual legislative changes in the law, but with all existing laws. Because I was running out of time, I had to summarize the reasons I believe a citizens advisory group is necessary. I told you that I believe a crisis is brewing in the relationship between Planning and Zoning Commission members and the public. There are many reasons for this crisis, but there are also solutions. However, to develop solutions, we must improve communications, particularly between you, our elected representatives, and the people of Fremont County. When I worked for the state of Idaho, it was not uncommon for a member of the public to wag their finger in my face and angrily tell me, "I pay your salary, you work for me." Those interactions were hard for me, but as a public employee working for the people of the state of Idaho, it was my job to listen and learn and do my best to serve them. The same is true for every elected official and every employee of all government entities, including local government. How often do we hear that local government is best suited to make decisions because local government officials are closest to the people and are in the best position to hear and respond to their constituents' concerns? But that's true only if our elected officials are willing to communicate with and make themselves accountable to their constituents. As I said last week, I think Fremont County is fortunate to have a large number of residents who are actively engaged in local decision making. Many of those people reside in the Island Park area full-time or part-time and are motivated to engage in local government because that is the mechanism for protecting and preserving the values that drew them to Fremont County. But there are also many people living south of Ashton Hill who are also actively engaged, especially in land use discussions. Sorry, I had some dental work done this week. If there appear to be more people engaged in issues in Island Park, it's because there are more people in Island Park, at least on a part-time basis. I compiled census data for the 4 county census divisions, known as CCDs, in Fremont County. And while it shows, and I'll just give you copies, there's one for Commissioner Hill. I compiled census data for the 4 county census divisions in Fremont County, and while it shows that 62% of the county's full-time residents are concentrated in the St. Anthony CCD, and only 11% in the Island Park CCD, only 35% of the housing units are in the St. Anthony CCD, and 47% are in the Island Park CCD. The census showed that 82% of the Island Park housing units are, quote, unoccupied, meaning that the owners do not occupy them year-round. But in the summer and during holidays when those units are occupied, the population of Island Park swells far beyond that of any other area of the county. Terry Arisman of Island Park obtained estimates of the assessed valuation of properties north of Ashton Hill and for the entire county 2 weeks ago from the county treasurer and assessor. The assessed valuation of all properties in Fremont County is about $4.5 trillion. And $2.9 trillion, or 64% of the total for Fremont County, is assessed on properties located north of Ashton Hill, primarily in the Island Park area. This brings me back to the need for a citizens advisory group, because most of the property owners living north of Ashton Hill, as well as about 22% of the property owners in the Ashton census district, are not full-time residents. They can neither vote nor run for elected office. A citizens advisory group would provide a means for these property owners to have a voice on issues important to them. Developing policies to improve communications between the public and county decision makers is especially urgent. I, and I know many other people, have written several times to alert the Board of County Commissioners and county prosecutors of ongoing problems with county operations. Generally, we do not receive confirmation that our emails and letters are received and read, or that any measures are being taken to investigate whether a violation has occurred, and more importantly, how those violations can be corrected and prevented from happening again. In fact, I have 2 letters that I recently submitted that are not appropriate for discussion in open meeting that I would like to meet with you in executive session to discuss. Furthermore, I would like to know what actions are being taken to correct the problems that I made you aware of when I was here on July 21. So once again, this discussion will have to be continued another time, and I will return to talk with you at another meeting. Although there was not time for discussion on July 21, I was encouraged by Commissioner Chandler's comment that he supports doing something to, quote, bring the temperature down. I'm going to turn the remainder of the time I have over to Mr. Brian Arms, who would like to discuss one of the ways you can do exactly that.
My name is Brian.
I mispronounced your name, Mr. Arms.
That's okay, Mr. Dance. It's a common thing. It's oftentimes mispronounced. My name is Brian Arms. I'm at 4480 Stone Run in Island Park. We live there full time. Prior to that, we had a place at 4257 Stevenson. So we've been up in the Island Park area for a number of years. Today, I come with just a single thing, a single item that I'd like to discuss with this board, and that would be a change of venue for the appeal hearing by the Ensign Hospitality. I too have prepared a few remarks just to make sure that I am succinct. I guarantee this won't take very long. I come before this body today to request that the upcoming appeal hearing for the Ensign Hospitality project, which is currently scheduled for Wednesday, 5 p.m., August 13th in St. Anthony, be moved to the Island Park EMS building. Previous hearings for large development projects in the Island Park impact area have been extremely well attended by local residents, with attendees numbering in the hundreds. The Ensign Hospitality project has garnered tremendous interest, and there is no doubt that the upcoming appeal hearing will be well attended. I suggest that moving the appeal hearing to the Island Park location would better meet the Fremont County Comprehensive Plan goal of citizen participation. As written in Policy 1, Subsection 2, the county will conduct hearings on development proposals in the affected areas whenever possible. Obviously, a location in Island Park is much closer to the affected area. Leaving the hearing in its current location will ensure that hundreds of Island Park residents will be forced to travel the 50 miles to the south end of the county. As well, the current 5 p.m. start time prevents working residents from arriving on time, or possibly prevents them from attending at all. I respectfully submit that moving this hearing closer to the area of impact will result in greater citizen participation and will better achieve the goals and policies of the Fremont County Comprehensive Plan. Respectfully submitted. Do I hand this to one of your clerks?
Have it.
Yeah. Sorry, I did not make copies of all that.
Well, thank you for that. Have you properly notified for this meeting on August 13th?
Yes, we've posted done the proper notifications and sent out the proper notices for the hearing to be held on the 13th.
Commissioners, do you see any reason for us to make that change and honor this request?
Especially not at this time. I think they've got a good facility that will hold the numbers. I think a good sound system. I think it's a good facility.
Mr. Chandler?
Air conditioning still works there. It's not going to cost anything. I know it is a hassle, but I'm just being frank, but living in Island Park's a hassle. I lived in Ashland for 20 years. Kids, I just, live away.
Okay. Mr. Hall, would you weigh in on this, on the state statute?
It's my belief that you're required to hold the hearing in the county seat under Idaho statute. It is one of your administrative duties is to hear planning and zoning matters, and under Idaho Code 31703, I believe it is, maybe 701, you county commissioners are to meet in the county seat. So I don't think you have an option to move it to a different location. The Planning and Zoning Commission doesn't have the same statutory limitation that the county commissioners have. In part because they're only an advisory body, whereas county commissioners actually have legal authority to make decisions. Those decisions are sometimes administrative, sometimes they're legislative, and sometimes they're judicial. But in each case, those are county commissioners' decisions to be held in the county seat.
May I participate in the
Actually,
discussion?
Cheryl, do you mind?
Go ahead.
Gentlemen, is it a point where I can have a little discourse with you as well?
Sure.
Perfect.
We've got a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I guess with that then, I'm not quite sure how that interfaces with Idaho Code 676526, which also talks about areas of impact. Clearly, you gentlemen, and certainly Mr. Hall, I respect your, your law background with it. But like say, where 676526 does establish impact areas, and then the comprehensive plan goes on to mention that any meetings that would be held that have an impact in impact areas as close as possible. I guess I'm not quite sure then. It seems to me that perhaps the comprehensive plan is out of step with other legal requirements, or perhaps is a comprehensive plan just generally ignored. This is one of my first times in front of the commission, so I'm not sure exactly how business is done here very often. But I guess I would just kind of leave with that question to say it seems like it's disharmonious then with the goals and the policies of the comprehensive plan if meetings that are pertaining specifically to development are not held in the impact areas.
And I would just like to add, I've read that section of the code, and it specifically states that the regular meetings must be held in the county seat. It goes on to say that you have to have at least one meeting a month. Clearly that was, that's a law that was written a long time ago when it was probably difficult for everybody to make it to the county seat. But that was to ensure that the meetings were held in the same place each month, and at least one of them was held. I think maybe 2 meetings per month are required under that code. But it does not, it specifically refers to regular meetings. It does not refer to all meetings of the county commissioners. I think that you have the discretion, and again, this would be an act of goodwill the 5 o'clock start time is especially difficult for people. Most of us are retired. Some of us are working still, but people who work can't drive 50 miles from Island Park to be here at the start of a 5 o'clock meeting. I attended the last appeal hearing. It was scripted, which I think is a very good thing to do. It was on a very tight time schedule. It did not run longer than about 90 minutes. We know that this is not something that's going to go long into the evening. So, as I say, I think it would be an act of goodwill. I mean, again, I've been here twice now to tell you that we're not getting the communication that we need. And that's the source of much of the frustration, because it gets on the part of the public, because it gets directed at the planning and zoning commissioners. It's not their job to absorb that. It's not their job to absorb the frustrations that really are directed at staff and lack of staff oversight. And as I say, I think it would be an act of goodwill and indicate that you're listening to your constituents. That, I know you've gotten several letters from people. I've seen the response, I've seen the letters, I've seen the responses. I was surprised, actually, that there was a response.
You just said there hasn't been a response. think we tried to make.
I have said that most of the letters I have written, I don't get a response to. And I just said I was very surprised to see that there was a response to the letters that were
Fair
submitted.
enough.
That's the first time I've seen that. And kudos, that's what we need. We need more of that. It wasn't very explanatory. And obviously, many people have the same question I do. That seems to refer to a regular meeting.
Okay.
But again, I'm offering an opportunity. I see this as an opportunity for you to convey to the public that you care about their concerns and you've heard them and that you're willing to respond.
Thank you. Appreciate your time coming in.
We have more time. We've got 20 minutes. So we're
They had
11:30. We were scheduled at 11:30.
40.
We were scheduled at 11:30, I thought.
We were scheduled at 11:30. And I think we were a few minutes into that time frame. Our next item on our agenda is...
We were only scheduled for 10 minutes?
Yes.
I'm sorry, normally the scheduling is for 20 minutes, my mistake.
Well, thank you very much.
That's very unusual.
Commissioners, thank you. I
Turn.
appreciate your time, appreciate your patience. I know that you've got a difficult position. And like I say, I appreciate being able to come and speak before you. I would say this, and kind of, I guess, leave with this. Obviously, those of us who are in Island Park care deeply what happens up there. There's an increasing number of full-time people. Many of who've lived in the area for years and now just finally retired up there. So, to the point of, I guess I would say I would expect more and more increasingly that people want to be involved, especially in these high-level developments that are going to have such tremendous impact into the Island Park area. Thank you.
Those are copies of my comments.
Great, thank you.
You said 4.5 trillion, it's 4.5 billion.
Billion. I questioned that, frankly. But I ran it by a couple of people and nobody said, oh, no, wait, that's billion, not trillion. But thanks, Abby.